Honestly, that's the best way to explain this episode, because honestly, all I could keep saying throughout the entirety of the episode is just... what?
What?
So basically, the episode begins with Twilight heading to the train station because Pinkie, Applejack, and Rarity were out on a boating trip, but for some reason they're fighting with each other. As Twilight begins talking with her friends, she begins hearing their sides of the story, but for some reason they all have different variations / skewered versions of the original story, where Rarity is saying that Applejack was at fault, Pinkie Pie is saying that Rarity was at fault, and then Applejack finally saying that Rarity and Pinkie Pie were at fault. And honestly, this entire episode just confused the living hell out of me. So basically what we're getting is the multiple story kind of concept where everybody has their own kind of variation / version of the story, and then it just leads into a massive misunderstanding because they all didn't understand the situation properly. And then Twilight just... the way Twilight fixes the situation and explains the situation feels like a freaking, like, you know, like a pull out of nowhere, like going into your notes and like, yeah, that's how I'm gonna fix it, and doing that. That's how the episode felt for me in most cases. You see, when I saw this episode, when I was first watching it, I thought it was gonna be something like Mystery on the Friendship Express or Rarity Investigates. A mystery that not only Twilight has to solve, but we can solve as a viewer. But it really didn't go that way. It felt more like just like it was trying to be a mystery, but then Twilight just figured out the answers all by herself and pulled out this weird creature that none of us ever heard of. It almost reminds me of like how the Smooze was involved in one episode, and I don't know, I just found it kind of a weird kind of addition to the point that it's mixed. It makes me feel mixed about the episode. There's not much else I can really say about this episode because that's it. I explained it perfectly. So the best way I could describe this episode, it's a misunderstanding / multiple perspective, skewered perspective story where we have multiple characters with multiple perspectives and they're not the same, you know, thing, only with a few correlating things, and then leading up to them finally understanding that they had a misunderstanding with each other, and then the final evidence being brought up out of absolutely nowhere. I don't know if there's any movies or otherwise that are brought up like that, but this feels like not the best way to do storytelling. So all in all, what do I think about this episode? I was honestly confused about the entire thing. It's like, unlike other episodes that I'm not sure how to feel about, this one didn't really leave me with much of an impression. It didn't leave me satisfied, but it didn't leave me angry. It just left me saying over and over again, what?
What?
And that's my speed impressions on P.P.O.V, aka Pony Point of View.